Okay, so today we're working on a generator. We're in Florida. We've got maybe another 2 days. We may be seeing this Hurricane Matthew. We're right on the coast near Kennedy Space Center, so it's supposed to buzzsaw us. So everybody's getting their generators back out. This generator, last time it was started, was about 7 years ago during our last hurricanes that we had. So right off the bat, it smells like turpentine coming out. The fuel is just wasted. What you should do when you put these things away is drain all the fuel out. This one's a very simple one to do it, but this guy here that owns this one did not do that. So the fuel tarnished and it has some stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean the complete fuel system. We're going to clean the tank. We're going to put a new filter in it. We're going to be taking the air filter off. This has a bowl with a bleeder screw on the bottom of it where we can drain it out. So we're going to flush some stuff in, push some stuff out. We have a dead battery, 12-volt system. Battery was only at 5 volts. Water was evaporated out of it. It's been 7 years sitting in a hot garage. So we'll go ahead and get this thing going. So first off, we're going to pull the air filter box off so we can see where our fuel line goes in, because we want to go ahead and get this filter and get to the bowl. So we have some locks on the side. Alright, so here's where our fuel filter comes. Our line comes from the tank. We have a fuel filter here, so the carburetor, this is where the intake is under this plate. So we have a couple 4 bolts right here we want to remove. All right, so we have our fuel filter attached right here. Looks like there's a little lock. Go ahead and release that lock. We'll just basically push that little pin down. Ooh, just standing over this thing, I can smell the fuel. All right, so here's where we have the intake going in. We have our carburetor right here. So this being a twin cylinder, our carburetor sits in the middle with our intake, joining the two with our fuel pump on this side. So the fuel comes through here. This fuel pump works on vacuum. So this system for this one has basically a drain on the bottom of the bowl going down, because it'd be a lot of work to remove this to service it. So they gave us that little ease there. So we have a little flathead screw. We have a hose going down. It's tucked around somewhere here. We'll have to find it, fish it out, so we can drain the bowl. So we'll go ahead and we'll be flushing stuff in through this inlet and flushing out, because I'm sure by the tank they didn't shut the fuel off or do any kind of fancy stuff. We'll see that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this little piece here. Now we're going to feed it back through here because we want to make the line lower than the tank, so we don't have any kind of liquid still staying in the line. So we're going to try to not make much of a mess. We have a jar sitting right here. We're going to collect what we're pouring out, because obviously we want to see progressively it getting better, or just to see what we're dealing with. Okay, I'm moving this around right here. I'm seeing fuel dripping back by the tank right now. All right, so see this hose is pretty molded, very firm. Looks like we had some rubber. This is where our petcock would be going into the tank, and there's be the valve for the on and off. So it looks like we have, that gasket is no good right there. So we'll go ahead, oh yeah, there's. So the fuel was on the entire time. does have a red tint. The tarnish color is kind of red. This guy might have put some stabilizer in here. Seeing red like that, that's pretty bright. What I'm going to need to do is once this drains, I'm going to have to remove this little rubber grommet here for the petcock. It's a generator, so we're just going to have to go see if we can match it up. You know, being a parts store, it's not this kind of parts. We're going to have to probably hit the lawnmower store or something. We're going to go ahead and get a new battery for this. We're going to get a new fuel filter here. But we went ahead and removed what we have because there's different sizes. So we want to match it up so we get it as close as we can to the original stuff. We went ahead and removed the petcock. Okay, so this is the original. That's where we were split. So that was right in there. So this will be our new one. It's a little universal petcock gasket. So you can see there was a screen. So this screen's this good one because it's going to keep a lot of the stuff going through. Now the varnish and all that, all of the fuel changing, it's not going to stop that kind of stuff once it happens, wherever it happens. So this is the on-off. So really what you should have done is you have your tank of gas, you close off your valve and you let your generator run so it sucks all the fuel out of the carburetor and everything, so it doesn't sit with the fuel in it to gum it up. So we'll go ahead and what we want to do is we want to maybe flush, we're going to spray a little brake clean in there and swish it around as best we can, try to get some more of the drips out and stuff out of there as best we can. So there's where our petcock goes. We'll go ahead and wipe all this gas and everything up, clean up, and we'll clean the gas tank up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and clean the rest of the fuel system here. So we had the fuel line coming in from the tank. We had our fuel filter right here. So this line goes down. This is our vacuum fuel pump. So we have the fuel comes in on this side, comes out on this side. This other line here, that's the driver, that's the vacuum doing the pulsation for the vacuum style pump or pressure style pump. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this line right here so we can take some brake clean. We're going to spray it into this line so that'll get into the bowl like we're entering as the fuel. There's a screw right here. We're going to loosen this screw. That screw is going to open up this hose right here. So this will be the lowest point of the carburetor and this will be the drain. So whatever we put in will flush and the brake clean should break up you know, all the gummed up fuel. So this line here does come out down here. Now they do tuck it away. So you have to pull the top out. So now you have this line down here. This is the drain. This would be the drain. So we'll go ahead and see if we can catch what we got. Go ahead. We're going to remove the top line here so we can. So you have the top line undone. I'll go ahead and loosen that screw. So if there's any fuel in there, it should come pouring out now. And we have nothing coming out. I'll go ahead and put a little brake clean in there, see if we can push through. Oh yeah, it's pretty we're not even pushing through. Fuel does not want to go in. Okay, we're gonna have to go into the carburetor a little bit more. We're gonna have to remove it. All right, so we have 2 bolts going this way. They go all the way through. They come here, they're pretty long bolts. And we have one throttle here and one throttle here. So we have our throttle and then you know, kind of our choke. We'll go ahead and we'll remove these 2 10. Maybe. Like you gotta remove a lot of other stuff. We're going to try to leave a lot of these springs on because these springs are also adjustments of tension. So with anything, we try to remove as least amount of parts as we can. Okay, so I was pretty spring loaded to one side, but we're loose. Just enough, we want to just be able to get those bolts right there. We want to go ahead and remove this lever and this lever here, and these are clipped in, so we just flip the little clip down. And once we swing it around, we can pull. See, this one has the line in it. Okay, so we pulled that one. We also have a spring. We have another one over here. This one we're going to remove off this bracketry, and it's the same thing. We just push over. This one will actually come out. So we want to just keep an eye on it. One large breather line. All right, so now we just have our fuel line down from below. And then this right here is our fuel cutoff. So when we lose fuel pressure or oil pressure and all that stuff like that, this safety's out from the key switch and all that. So this is like your fuel stop right here. We'll go ahead and free this all the way up so we can. All right, so now we have our carburetor here. We're going to go ahead and just remove the intake. And we'll just remove it and set it off to the side. We're going to remove this so we can see how. So we're down. So we just want to make sure we put it back in the same spot. So we just. So we'll just go ahead and we'll set it off to the side. That way we know that's how it came apart. All right, so what we want to do is we want to get into here. Here's the fuel coming in, and this is the bowl on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and remove these 4 screws, and that'll show us what we had here, because what we had is we couldn't get fuel to flow from here to here. So we're just going to go ahead and remove these 4 bolts now. We'll go ahead and flip it over so we can try to catch as much as the junk if in there so we can see. All right, so we're pretty stuck. What I'm going to do is take the butt of my screwdriver and just kind of tap it. We're just trying to free it up. It's pretty stuck there. Oh, you can see the tone changed. Okay, so we got something going on here. See all that? So let's go ahead and remove this. All right, so I don't think that I was holding it in, but that is pretty dirty. All right, so you can see how dirty that was. Just corrosion that was holding us up there. I mean, if we didn't flush all this stuff out by going in here and doing this, we would have been in the middle of the hurricane and the generator not running, and this is where we would be at while the hurricane was going on. So this is always a good, if it's sitting around, it's more than likely it looks like that if you left fuel in it. So we need to go through and clean up a couple of passages through here. We're going to use air and all that, so we have some really tiny holes. These are the air bleed holes to help pull fuel along. So we're going to be pulling all this out. This doesn't look very good. So this is basically your main jet. Oh yeah, this thing's pretty stuck. So just doing that, we broke the corner of the jet off. So yeah, this is pretty good corrosion there. Let's go get a wider based screwdriver. Okay, so now we have a wider based screwdriver, the same diameter as the screw there. So hopefully we can get we're getting as much as we can, because that's pretty tight. All right, there we go. You can see all the grime there. Okay, so that's your fuel jet, and that should so not totally jammed up. So when we squirt in this one, we should come out the main tube in the carburetor. Not too bad. So we have some air bleeds too. What we do with the air bleeds is we just kind of do the same thing. We just blow in, we make sure, see that one came out the bottom. So that's the vent for the bowl right there. And this is an air bleed, so this helps pull the fuel up. So it looks like everything is pretty well. This was just another vacuum. I'm going to clean up all this. There's some junk on the bottom of that. And we'll clean up our jet, all of our junk around there. What we'll do is this is the float. You have a valve right here. You could take it out and clean it. We're going to go ahead and just leave it alone. We're going to test it though. So what we want to do is we're going to blow in here. This will be the fuel coming in, because this would be like sitting this way. So everything is upside down. So normally this will be hanging, because when the fuel comes up, it shuts it off. So when the fuel comes up, it closes that. So we'll blow in here. This should be closed. As we open it, we should be able to blow through. So it's a little, it's a float valve. So everything is operational there. We got some brake clean. We'll use a little bit of air and to blow it all out once we're done. The brake clean, we're kind of softening all the goo. We know we have a lot down in that little port. Okay, so just want to go ahead and still looks pretty ugly in there. We have a little bit of fresh gas in there to let that sit for a minute. All right, so you can see kind of what we're trying to get. We can still see the buildup in the bottom. We can see we're getting rid of it up here. So what we'll do is we're gonna, I guess got gasoline. I'm just going back and forth with the same gasoline, let it sit in there, soften it up. I got this little screwdriver. I'm kind of trying to just rub it, break as much as I can off there so I don't have to, you know, deal with this again. We'll go ahead and let that sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. All right, so we've got our bowl all clean. We're going to go ahead and install our main jet again. So we just want to put this back in, tighten it up. We don't want to go crazy tight, but we want to make it tight. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and reinstall our bowl. So we can kind of tell our position as the flat tab and flat tab. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we'll put a little lube around our O-ring right here. Get a little gas or something to lubricate it. Okay, so now we have our carburetor back together. So then we had our front piece. I'm going to put that on. Then we had this and facing downward. All right, so now we're ready to install our carburetor back up into the engine. All right, so go ahead and feed this wire up underneath here. All right, so when we put our carburetor in, we have our lower hose that we need to put on. That would be the lowest thing that we need to do. All right, so we'll go ahead and get the carburetor back into its spot. Put our breather hose back on. right, so we want to go ahead and just make sure that everything is going to lay in right. And we'll go ahead and start our bolts going in. All right, so we'll go ahead and hook up our throttle, see? And we had one pop off, so we want to go ahead and put our spring on. And our clip. Our spring. Then we had one over here. Make sure we have everything right. The only thing we haven't done is our wire, our fuel line. I'll go ahead and put this bracket back on because it is a little spring loaded. It has a little foot that it sits in, a little seat. We'll go ahead and align that dowel up there first. Go ahead and hook up our fuel line. And we want to put our wire clips back on. All right, so here we have a little fuel filter. Note they do have, so this is the original filter. It has a flow arrow as the same as the new one. It's a little different sizing, but it'll fit in there. May not fit back in the same spot, but you know, it will fit and it will do its purpose. We just want to make sure we put the flow in, the correct flow. So we want to push it past the first rib. This is where it sat to begin with. I don't know if it's going to sit there again. We'll try. What we want to do now is let's mess with the tank. So we had this bottom of the tank, we had it all cleaned out now. So here we have the petcock with our little screen. This is our original that ripped on us. So now we have our new one. We're going to go ahead and put it on. So just a little bit of lubricant or something moist, or you know, something. I'm going to use a little bit of gasoline on it. Just something to get it wet. All right, so we'll go ahead and install our grommet. So now we'll go ahead and we'll install the fuel tank back in. So we'll go ahead and get our fuel tank back installed, our 4 bolts on the perimeters. All right, so we'll go ahead and feed it back through our clamp. Okay, so we'll go ahead and reinstall the air filter. What we want to do here is we just want to make sure that our fuel filter is, we're going to just keep it out of, popped out there. All right, so now we're ready to put some gas in it, put the battery in it. I just want to make sure, we could change the oil, we're not, it's pretty good, it's full. Just make sure that it has oil. It's been sitting for quite a long time. All right, so we'll go ahead, now we'll put the battery in. All right, so we got a new battery here we're going to install. A couple different, these are the ones we want right here. We're pretty much ready to put fuel in it. Let's see what she does. We're just going to put a little bit of gas in it. Just enough to get maybe ½ inch along the bottom or so. All right, so we're off. We did turn our fuel, so we need to turn our fuel back on. I don't know how much fuel we put in if our level is higher. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and see if it cranks. We're kind of watching the fuel right here to see if the pump is working and everything. We'll loosen the gas tank cap just to give it less pressure. All right, so we're going to try to crank it over. We'll go ahead and put the choke on. All right, so it does crank. Oh, and there we go. We got our fuel came right up. We'll go ahead and turn the choke off. Okay, so here we have a generator. We've been in the carburetor. We're going to start it. We have fuel. We're getting fuel. We just don't have a run. We have somewhat of a kick. Something's trying to happen. Okay, so what I think is going on and how I'm going to diag this is there was that little sensor that was the fuel shutoff right at the fuel bowl port. That was where all of our trash, the plunger, everything. We didn't actually hook it up to power and see if it works, but it's a 12-volt system on this. So this wire right here will have 12 volts. So we're off right now. So we have no power. So that plunger is completely out. When we energize it, the plunger pulls back, that lets the fuel go by. So as soon as we turn the key on, we get our 12 volts. The thing that I did not hear is, because I should be able to hear this, so I could hook this up and turn the key on, but I might hear other things cycle with the key. This is the only thing that cycles, but if just as a rule of thumb, to isolate. So we have it on, we unplug it, and I should be able to hear it go click, click. I should hear it click when I give it power, and then unclick when I don't. I don't hear any. I hear an electrical tick right here, like it's trying to. So that's telling me that I have it locked up. That plunger, that solenoid's locked up. So what we're gonna have to do is we have to go all the way back to where we were, remove that little plunger, and replace that plunger. We'll clean it and try to play with it and see if we can free it up, because we're really trying to get this thing running without waiting on parts. But we can't run with that the way it is. We got to go back in. All right, so here we have the fuel cutoff. You can see there's some. I've been playing with it. So we're at the next day. We're trying to figure out what is going on. So I already off camera yanked it all back off real quick. So here's some little bit of stuff you see in here. I've already started working it out. So what I'm going to do is, once the key is on, this is energized. This is grounded. So we're going to put the base on the ground, and we're going to touch the positive. That should pull the plunger back and allow fuel to go to the main jet. I believe that was the problem. That's what we're finding right here. So there. Let's see if we. So it's pretty. We're having to move it quite a bit. Now it's starting to get a little faster. What we're going to do is we're going to try to clean all this shaft and see if we can get this to make see it real slow. We're going to see if we can clean this up. So it is functional. It just looks like we have more of that junky debris in there that we couldn't get. It was down in there, so we're breaking it free now. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaned up and get it back on the generator. Okay, so here we have it all back together. We're back to where we were prior to going and cleaning that sensor. So what we're going to do is we're going to test it. Like we were saying, you should be able to hear the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the key on. So now we have this wire is energized, and this would be the wire it goes to. So I'm going to put the mic over by that sensor. We'll go ahead and connect it. Now you can hear it engaging. So it's pulling that pin back to let the fuel go to the main jet. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start it. Well. Give it some choke. All right, and there we have a running generator.